Okay guys, so it's Kato Ken back here again for another video. So this is the second video in my series, essentially, the Command Codex training system for fighting games. And the main thing I kind of wanted to talk about today, or the thesis for today is really about understanding your nervous system, your state, and your emotions, and how to work on those things so you can get the best out of your training and out of your performance when you do decide to play, whether casually or professionally or competitively, whatever endeavor that you're trying to get good in. So I would think most people think that their problem is trying to fix combos, trying to just gain more raw skill, trying to just, grind more and raw dog things. And the problem with that is you're essentially using a hammer to fix the situation where a scalpel is required. Your nervous system is a living system within your body. Your and it works like the electrical system of the body, essentially. What I'm trying to say is this. So, when we think about things, those thoughts become actions, and those action becomes behaviors. Most people just look at the behaviors and try to fix the behaviors, but the behaviors are a result of our emotions, and the emotions are a result of how we think and react to things. But just fixing your thoughts isn't even enough. You actually have to fix the state of your body as well. If, for example, if you're scared of like a spider and a spider falls on your foot or your leg, you may understand that, oh, it's just a spider, it can't really harm you in truth. But the truth is, your body doesn't care. It doesn't understand that. It's going to automatically react in a way that shows a fear response. And no thinking about it is going to get you out of that situation in the moment. Fighting games are not chess, they're chess gambling, and they have a physical element to them. The problem with people is they either try to think of chess, they try to think of fighting games as in chess, or they just try to think of it as in gambling, or they just try to think of it as in just react faster, bro. When the truth is, fighting games are a combination of all three of these things. If you have a good strategy but you can't execute it, that's useless. If you have good execution but you don't have a plan, that's useless as well. So to create real consistency and actually get good, you have to have a balance of a good plan and good execution. Right now, we're going to talk about how do you start building good execution, but not from a practicing standpoint, as in physically doing things, but as in a mentality of how to get a good mindset that leads to good execution later and leads to being able to create plans that are actually executable and not just theoretical. There's no such thing as a player who is good against good players and bad against bad players. That doesn't exist. That's just a bad player. What that really means is, oh, you're a player who's good as long as the situation is optimal, but the situation is never optimal. That's like saying, oh, I'm a good swordsman as long as I have a sword, but you never have a sword on you. That's essentially what that is. That doesn't exist. A good player with bad mental is not a good player. They're just a player who's inconsistent. They have high highs and they have low lows. They'll never be actually consistently good. If you want to see what a good player looks like, look at somebody like Tokido. Look at somebody like Justin Wong. Look at somebody even like Daigo. They may not have the high highs that some players have, but they're very consistent and they're never out of it. What you're aiming for is that. You're not aiming for crash and burn or reach the highest highs and the lowest lows. That's not good. So, how do we end up doing that? Okay, well, there are different archetypes of people, as I was saying, and different archetypes need different things. So let's now go back to the lab. Let's go back to the character select. So, like I said, I play commander type characters like Catalina, Narmaya, Sandalphone, etc., etc. But everybody has a nervous system and everybody has a state. So everybody needs to regulate their internal state to be able to play their character to the optimal efficiency. Now, like I said, because different people have different temperaments and think differently, it could require different things. But for now, what I'm just really gonna focus on is how to avoid tilting and how to avoid choking and the mentality of how to fix that. So let's say you're playing, I am playing, let's just say I'm playing Catalina right now. And let's just say I'm fighting against Willness. And let's say I don't really know the matchup too well against Willness right now. And Willness is rushing me down. He's doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff that I don't recognize. But as a fighting game player, I generally get the idea that he's just kind of a rushdown character. But he's still tilting me because I don't understand the matchup myself that well and I don't have enough practice. Now, by the way, it's entirely possible to win matchups without even knowing the matchup. It happens all the time because that's another thing that's called fundamentals. Tilt Tilt management is a part of fundamentals, but that's for the next video. But right now, we're just talking about internal management and state. So, how do we manage ourselves internally in our state? I've already said that it is a mentality issue, but mentality issues and thinking about it, that comes after this. This comes before. You have to regulate your body and your mind. Now, how can you do that? The simplest and easiest way to do it is to manage your breathing. So I call it BOSS or BOUS. It means breathe, observe, accept, simplify, execute. That's my little acronym. Or you can go with BASE. BASE. Breathe, accept, see, simplify, execute. And basically the point is you need to regulate your nervous system and your body and calm down your body so your mind can calm down. So when you breathe, it essentially activates this thing in your mind or in your brain or in your body called the vagus nerve, and it essentially helps calm you down. I'm not going to get into the deeper details of it right now, but essentially all you need to know is when you're getting rushed down by anybody, or if somebody's frustrating you, or if you're getting tilted by not knowing something, or this or that, X, Y, any scenario you can think of, whenever basically you're getting knocked off of your equilibrium, you need to take a moment to breathe, and you need to take a moment to focus on your breathing, deep, long breaths, so you can regulate your state. And you need to do this in matches, and you need to do it before matches. Another thing I could recommend is you need to learn how to meditate. Just do meditation breathing. Just focus on the breath before you play matches. Meditate for like 5 minutes before you play matches, and then when you get done with your training in the training mode in the lab, you do your drills or whatever. I would recommend breathing before you start queuing onto rank. And like I said, even when you're playing, in between matches, in between rounds, you should be breathing in between your decisions. Find points where you could breathe. So for example, when you lose a match or you win a match and you're at the character restart where you can press yes or no again to keep fighting the person, do not immediately press X and queue up. You need to breathe. Run the timeout as much as you can to breathe so you can regulate your state and regulate your nervous system so you can get the best results. And the reason why you're doing this is because, like I said, going back to the spider analogy, intellectually speaking, you can know that a spider can't harm you. But if you're scared of it, your body is still going to react in a scared way. Intellectually, intellectually, if I'm fighting Willness right now, like, hold up. Intellectually, if I'm fighting Willness and he's doing this, he's doing all this stuff, I may know the correct answer of how to deal with it, but if I'm angry or if I'm tilted, I'm not going to execute it at the right way. This is the bottleneck that players face in real matches. This is why most people have a lot of skill, but they don't have mental fortitude. They don't have inner peace and inner calmness. So they may have the skill, but they can't show it consistently because they keep getting thrown off by the things their opponent is doing because they're focusing on the wrong things. They're trying to focus on forcing something to work when you can't force it. Fighting games are a two-player game. You can't just do what you want to do. You have to react to what the opponent is doing. And the best way to do that is to regulate yourself internally. You have to regulate your state. If Willness is annoying me and he's doing all these stupid things, is bothering me, he's just being dumb. If I get irritated, I won't be able to react at the right time, even if I know what he's going to do. And that's going to piss you off even more because you know what he's going to do, but you can't react to it. And the reason why you can't react is because you're not regulating your state internally. You need to breathe, you need to calm down. Now, going on to the next thing, why do people not do this? The reason why people don't do this is because they think it's weak and it feels soft, and it's not something that most people talk about or think about. But what's more soft, losing because you can't control yourself, or winning because you can control yourself and you do the things that you need to do? This video and my first video are actually the most important videos, by the way. If you don't understand yourself and if you don't regulate yourself internally, you will not be good at anything. Fighting games, life, it doesn't matter. These are the most two important things. internal regulation of your emotions, and understanding yourself. I'm going to stress this again. These are the most important videos, the first two videos. Everything else is built on the foundation of these two videos. You will not become significant at anything in your life if you do not regulate these two things and focus on them. You have to internally regulate your emotions. And the simplest, quickest, easy way to do it is to focus on your breath. Do an inhale, slow inhale, and then do an even slower exhale. Breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth, slowly, and control it. And you're going to do this at all times. You want to practice it as much as you possibly can. You want to integrate it into your everyday life because it'll help you make better decisions and it'll help you in everything. Because getting good at fighting games, like everything else in life, is not about getting good at the system of the game. It's about getting good as a person. That's what it's really actually about. There is no magical fix that grinding your execution will make you better at this. It's literally like going to the gym. You have to work out different muscles. You have to target different muscles. You can't just play for a long time and get this. You can, but it is highly inefficient, essentially. So, now to connect this and to give you a good example, I'm going to show you some clips of me fighting people and show you why state is valuable. The reason why regulating your nervous system and your state is even valuable, even when you lose, is because it helps you come out with clear objectives of things to work on to win. Just because you regulate your internal state, it's a skill like anything else. So it has to be built up. So you're going to lose even when you have the right mindset and the right state. That's just going to happen because there's a gap between your state, your state and skill execution. So, and the whole point of working on state is to make your skill more available to you all of the time. But like I said, there's so many things to focus on and think about. But right now, we're just focusing on state. I'm going to show you some clips and give you like some advice as I'm playing so you can see what I mean and so you can get good. This is extremely important. This is the most important thing other than all the other knowledge I can possibly give you. And the reason why is because these are things that people do not talk about because they don't think about it or they're gatekeeping you and they don't want you to know. And you need to know these things if you want to get good at literally anything in life. So now I'm going to go into clips and I'm going to show you matches where I lose and matches where I win and how state played the big difference in me either winning gracefully or losing elegantly. And that's the next thing I'm going to do.